In 2007, FBI veteran Robert Levinson vanished on Iran's shadowy Kish Island, chasing a secret lead. A chilling hostage video years later revealed a truth that rocked the world. Hey, don't forget to like, please subscribe for more shocking crime stories, and hit the bell icon. The darkest truth are yet to come. March 8, 2007, 2:47 p.m. Dubai International Airport. Robert Levinson adjusted his glasses, scanning the departure board through the haze of jet lag. A retired FBI special agent, 59, with a broad build and thinning, gray hair, he carried a single carry-on, his passport tucked inside his jacket. His flight to Kish Island, Iran, was boarding in 20 minutes. Levinson's face, weathered from 28 years in law enforcement, 6 with the D, I-22 with the FBI, betrayed no nerves, though his mission was anything but routine. Since retiring in 1998, he'd worked as a private investigator, chasing leads on Russian mobsters and drug cartels, but this trip was different. Hired by a CIA illicit finance group analyst in 2006, Levinson was on an unauthorized contract to probe Iranian corruption, earning $85,000 for reports no one at CIA headquarters had approved. His target today, Dawood Salahuddin, an American fugitive wanted for the 1980 murder of an Iranian dissident in Maryland, now living in Iran. Salahuddin had intel on money laundering, maybe even Iran's nuclear program. Levinson's family wife, Christine, and their 7 children in Coral Springs, Florida, thought he was on a standard business trip. He hadn't told them about the CIA. The flight to Kish, a 45-minute hop across the Persian Gulf, was uneventful. At 4:12 p.m., stepped onto the tarmac, the salty air hitting him as he headed to customs. Kish, a free trade zone, was a haven for tourists, smugglers, and spies. No U.S. visa required. He hailed a taxi, directing the driver to the Hotel Mariam, a modest 3-story building near the waterfront. Business, he said when the clerk asked his purpose, signing the register with a steady hand. Room 216, second floor, $120 a night. He dropped his bag, checked his watch. 5:03 p.m. Man dialed Salahuddin's contact number from a burner phone. A gruff voice answered, confirming a meeting tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. in Levinson's room. Don't be late, Salahuddin said. His tone clipped. Levinson hung up, pulled out a notepad, and jotted down questions. Shell companies, bank accounts, names. He lit a cigarette, a habit from his FBI days, and stared at the ceiling fan, mentally rehearsing. March 9th, 8:47 a.m., Levinson, shaved in the bathroom, splashing cold water on his face. His diabetes made him sluggish, but he popped a metformin pill and sipped black coffee from room service. At 9:32, he reviewed his notes, his pen tapping the table. A knock came at 10:17. Salahuddin stood in the doorway, wiry, with a grey beard. And a canvas satchel. You Levinson? He asked, glancing down the hall. Yeah, come in, Levinson replied, gesturing to a chair. Salahuddin sat, his posture rigid. Police stopped me this morning, asked where I was headed. I don't like it, he said, lighting a cigarette. Levinson nodded, unfazed. Let's get to it. What do you know about funds moving through Kish? Salahuddin leaned forward, lowering his voice. There's a network, Hawala brokers, fake import-export firms. Money flows to Tehran, some to Hezbollah. I've got names, but you don't write them down yet. For 45 minutes they talked, Levinson scribbling. Chains. At 11:02 Salahuddin stood. That's enough for now. I'll call you. Levinson nodded, handing him $200 in cash. Tomorrow then, 11:28 a.m. Levinson packed his notepad, checked out, and signed the hotel bill, his signature later verified by FBI analysts. He stepped outside, the sun glaring off the pavement. Salahuddin was waiting by a black sedan. Need a ride to the pier? He asked. Levinson hesitated, then nodded. Sure. They walked toward the car, Salahuddin muttering about police patrols. At 11:37, 2 men in plainclothes approached, badges flashing Ministry of Intelligence and Security, MOI, passports. One demanded in accented English. Levinson reached for his, but Salahuddin was already talking fast in Farsi. The second agent, taller, eyed Levinson. You, come with us. Levinson's jaw tightened. I'm an American citizen, here on business. The taller agent smirked. Business? Yes. We talk about your business. Salahuddin was pulled aside, questioned, then released. He later claimed. Levinson was led to an unmarked van, his carry-on confiscated. The doors slammed shut at 11:43 a.m. He was gone. March 10th, Coral Springs, Florida, 7:15 p.m. Christine Levinson paced her living room, the phone pressed to her ear. Bob always called during trips every night, without fail. 2 days, no word. Her eldest daughter, Susan, 31, sat on the couch, scrolling news on her laptop. "Mum, maybe his phone died," she said, but her voice wavered. Christine dialed Bob's cell again straight to voicemail. At 8:03, she called the State Department's 24-hour line. "My husband, Robert Levinson, is missing in Iran. He was on Kish Island. Please. He's a retired FBI agent." The operator took notes, promising a follow-up. By midnight, Christine was on the phone with Bob's business partner, Ira Silverman, a former NBC producer. He said it was a quick trip. Some client in Dubai, Silverman told her. He didn't mention Iran. Christine's stomach sank. Bob had been cagey about this job, but she hadn't pressed. March 11th, 6:22 a.m., FBI Miami field office. Special Agent John Miller hunched over his desk, a photo of Levinson pinned to a corkboard. The State Department had flagged the case as urgent. A retired agent missing in Iran was a diplomatic nightmare. Miller dialed a contact at the U.S. Embassy in Dubai. "Any record of Robert Levinson entering Kish?" he asked. The embassy confirmed his arrival on March 8th, but no exit. By 9:47, Miller was briefing his supervisor, agent in charge Karen Holt. "He's a high-profile retiree, worked Russian organized crime. If Iran's got him, it's either a misunderstanding or something worse." Holt nodded, pulling Levinson's file. "Married, 7 kids, health issues, diabetes, hypertension. Get his family on the phone." At 11:15, Miller called Christine. "Mrs. Levinson, we're working every angle. Can you confirm his itinerary?" Christine's voice cracked. "He said Dubai, maybe Oman. I didn't know about Iran until his hotel called yesterday." Miller made notes, his pen scratching. "We'll find him." March 12th, Washington, D.C., 3:09 p.m., CIA headquarters. Analyst Ann Yablonsky, 42, sat in a windowless office, her phone ringing. It was an FBI liaison. "Jablonsky, what's your connection to Robert Levinson?" Her pulse spiked. She'd hired Levinson in 2006 to write reports on illicit finance, $5,000 for 10 dossiers, no field ops authorized. "He's a contractor, that's all," she said, her voice steady. The liaison pressed. "He's missing in Iran, Kish Island. You know anything?" Jablonsky froze. Levinson had emailed her about a Kish trip, but she'd assumed it was private work. "I'll check my records," she said, hanging up. She pulled his last report dated February 28th, on Iranian banking networks. A post-it note stuck to her. "Monitor read, call Bob resource." She hadn't followed up. At 4:22, she briefed her boss, admitting the contract. "This wasn't cleared," he snapped. "You sent a retiree into Iran." Jablonsky swallowed. He volunteered. March 15th, Kish Island, 8:34 a.m. Iranian police captain Reza Hosseini stood outside the Hotel Mariam, flipping through a report. The American Robert Anderson had checked out 6 days ago, but his passport raised flags to clean. "Too many U.S. stamps. Hosseini's my contact, Ahmad Karzai, had ordered a sweep." "He's a spy," Karzai said over the phone. "Find him." Hosseini interviewed the desk clerk, a nervous 20-something. He paid cash, left with a man dark beard, American accent. The clerk said. Hosseini noted the time. 11:30 a.m., March 9th. At the pier, a cab driver recalled dropping an American near a dock. He was with someone, arguing in English, the driver said. Hosseini radioed Karzai. No trace after the pier. Port logs show no boats leaving with him. Karzai's voice was cold. "Keep looking. Tehran wants answers." June 7, 2007. Washington, D.C., 10:15 a.m. White House Situation Room. President George W. Bush scanned a brief on Levinson, his brow furrowed. "What do we know?" he asked FBI Director Robert Mueller. "Retired agent, private citizen. Last seen on Kish." "Iran's denying everything," Mueller said. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice leaned in. "We've pressed Tehran through. The Swiss, they claim no record of detention." Bush nodded. "Raise it publicly. Get his name out there." At 1:47 p.m., a State Department spokesman told reporters, "We're concerned for Mr. Levinson's safety. Iran must cooperate." That evening, Iran's foreign ministry issued a statement. "No information exists on this individual." Christine watched the news, her youngest daughter Sarah, 16, clutching her hand. "Why are they lying?" Sarah asked. Christine had no answer. December 4, 2007, Kish Island, 9:03 a.m. Christine Levinson stepped off a plane, her son, Dan, 25, at her side. The State Department had arranged a fact-finding trip, a rare U.S. civilian visit to Iran. A local guide, vetted by the Swiss embassy, met them at the airport. Mrs. Levinson will visit the hotel police station, he said in accented English. At the Hotel Mariam, the manager showed them room 216, now occupied by a German tourist. Your husband was polite, paid in dollars, the manager said, handing over a photocopied bill. Christine traced Bob's signature, her throat tight. At the Kish police station, Captain Hosseini met them, his face impassive. We investigated. He left the island, maybe a private boat, he said, sliding over a typed report in Farsi. Don frowned. No one saw him leave. Where's the port? Log. Hosseini shrugged. Incomplete records. It happens. Christine gripped the report, her voice firm. My husband didn't just vanish. Someone knows something. December 5th, Tehran, 2:19 p.m. Christine and Dan sat in a government office, facing a Moi official, Mohammad Basari. Through a translator, Basari said, Iran is cooperating fully. We've opened an investigation. Christine held up Bob's photos, smiling at a family barbecue. 2006. This is my husband. He has diabetes, needs medication. Please, if you have him, let him go. Basara's eyes flicked to the photo, then away. We have no American prisoners matching his description. He promised a detailed report by January. It never arrived. At 6:47 p.m., Christine called the U.S. Embassy in Ankara from their Tehran hotel. They're hiding something, she said, her voice shaking. Bob's alive. I feel it. The embassy officer, a young diplomat, took notes. We'll keep pressing. Mrs. Levinson, March 9, 2008, Coral Springs, 7:22 p.m. Christine sat at her dining table, Bob's FBI commendations framed on the wall. 1 year since his disappearance. Her phone rang in Bill Nelson's office. We're working with the FBI, pushing for inaction, an aide said. Christine nodded, though he couldn't see. Thank you. Anything new? The aide hesitated. Nothing concrete, but we're hearing rumors of an American detainee in Bandar Abbas. Christine's heart raced. Bandar Abbas, a port near Kish, was a known Moi hub. She called Agent Miller. Is it true? Is Bob there? Miller sighed. Unconfirmed. Mrs. Levinson were checking every lead. That night, Christine emailed her children. Keep praying. We're not giving up. November 26, 2010, Coral Springs, 2:17 a.m. Christine bolted awake, her laptop glowing. An email from an unknown address. Subject, urgent. She clicked, hands trembling. A video file downloaded 54 seconds. Bob's face filled the screen. His beard, long eyes sunken. I'm Robert Levinson, held for 3.5 years, he said, voice hoarse. I've been treated well, but I need the US government to answer their demands. Please help me get home. He held a sign. 33 years of service to USA. Christine sobbed, waking Dan, who rushed in. Mum, what? He stopped, seeing his father. They replayed it, noting details. Orange jumpsuit, concrete wall, no visible injuries. At 3:04, Christine called the FBI's tip line. We got a video. Bob's alive. Agent Miller arrived at 6:47 a.m., copying the file. It came from a cybercafe in Quetta, Pakistan, he said. We're analyzing it. November 27th, FBI headquarters, Quantico, Novia Kinzi. Anchas de Mayugia, analyst Sarah Patel studied the video frame by frame. The metadata pointed to a Pakistani IP, but the production screamed more clean editing, controlled lighting. This isn't a ragtag group, she told Miller. Iran's intelligence service made this. At 11:32, Miller briefed Director Mueller. The video's a message. They want something, maybe a prisoner swap. Mueller nodded. Get it to state. No public release. By noon, the CIA was looped in, Jablonski sweating in a conference room. I didn't know he went to Kish, she repeated. Her supervisor glared. You paid him to dig into Iran. What did you expect? April 6, 2011, Coral Springs, 8:03 a.m. Christine opened her mailbox, her hands shaking. An unmarked envelope, postmarked Turkey, held 5 photos. Bob, chained, stared at the camera, his hair matted. Signs in his hands read, Help me, Weibergoin, the 9th of March, 07, and 4th year. I am here. His eyes, hollow, pierced her. She called Agent Miller at 8:17. More proof. John. He's alive. Miller arrived at 9:45, bagging the photos. Same MO as the video, he said. noting the stilted English. Moy is taunting us. At FBI Quantico, analyst Patel compared the images to the 2010 video. Same jumpsuit, same wall. She said, he's in a fixed location, likely near Tehran. At 2:19 p.m., Miller called the State Department. We need to push Iran harder. These photos are fresh. The diplomat side, we're trying, but Tehran's denying everything. April 7th, Washington, D.C., 10:47 a.m., State Department. Deputy Secretary William Burns met with FBI and CIA liaisons. Levinson's case is a priority, he said, but Iran's playing hardball. They want sanctions relief. Miller shook his head. Bob's got diabetes. Maybe worse now. Time's running out. Burns nodded. We'll raise it at the UN quietly. At 1:15, Burns called the Swiss embassy in Tehran, urging them to press Moy. The Swiss reported back at 4:03. Iran insists no American is in custody. Christine, briefed by Miller at 6:22 p.m., slammed her phone down. They're lying. John, why won't anyone do anything? Miller's voice was heavy. We're trying, Christine. The CIA angle complicates it. December 9th, 2011, New York, 3:09 p.m., UN General Assembly. U.S. Ambassador Susan Rice mentioned Levinson in a speech on human rights, the first public UN reference. Iran must release Robert Levinson, an American citizen, she said. Iran's delegate walked out. Back in Coral Springs, Christine watched on C-SPAN, her daughter Samantha, 27, beside her. Will this help, Mum? Samantha asked, her PTSD flaring from the stress. Christine hugged her. It has to. At 5:47, Miller called. Rice's speech got attention, but Iran's doubling down. They're claiming he's with militants in Pakistan. Christine scoffed. Pakistan. The video came from there, but Bob's in Iran. I know it. March 9th, 2012, Coral Springs, 7:15 p.m., 5 years since Bob vanished. Christine hosted a vigil, 50 neighbors holding candles. Dan spoke, his voice breaking. My dad's a hero. He served this country for 33 years. We won't stop until he's home. A reporter from NBC asked Christine, do you believe he's alive? She nodded, tears falling. I feel him. He's fighting. At 9:03, Miller emailed her an update. Intercepted chatter suggests an American detainee in Qom, unconfirmed. Christine read it, her heart pounding. Qom, a religious hub, had secret Moy facilities. She called Miller. Send someone to Qom, please. He sighed. We can't, Christine. No jurisdiction. January 17th, 2013, Washington, D.C., 8:47 a.m., Associated Press Office. Reporter Adam Goldman hit publish on a bombshell. Missing American in Iran was on unauthorized CIA mission. The story detailed Levinson's $85,000 contract, naming Yablonsky and 2 other analysts. By noon, CNN was running it. At 12:47, Christine's phone exploded. Reporters, senators, friends. She called Miller, furious. Why didn't you tell me about the CIA? Miller's voice was tight. We couldn't. It was classified. At 2:19, the CIA issued a statement. Levinson was not an employee. The contract was improper. 3 analysts, including Yablonsky, were fired. At 4:03, Christine went on NBC Nightly News. Bob was betrayed by his own government. She said, her voice steady. But I'm fighting for him. January 18th, Langley, 9:15 a.m., CIA Director's Office. John Brennan slammed the AP article on his desk. Who leaked this? He demanded. His deputy shook his head. Likely Levinson's family. They got $2.5 million in 2011 to keep quiet, Brennan cursed. The payout to avoid a lawsuit was meant to bury the mission. Now, it was a scandal. At 11:47, Brennan called FBI Director Mueller. This hurts our leverage with Iran, he said. Mueller snapped back. Your analysts sent a retiree into a war zone. Fix it. By 2:09, the CIA admitted paying Levinson's family, citing humanitarian reasons. Christine, watching the news, felt sick. They used Bob, then threw him away, she told Dan. March 9th, 2014. Coral Springs, 6:22 p.m., 7 years gone. Christine sat with her children, Bob's FBI badge on the table. Her phone buzzed. Senator John Kerry's office. We're negotiating with Iran on nukes, an aide said. Levinson's on the table. Christine's hopes surged. At 8:47, Miller called. Don't get your hopes up. Iran's using Bob as a bargaining chip. By July, the nuclear deal talks excluded Levinson's case, per State Department leaks. Christine emailed Kerry, don't forget my husband. No reply came. At 10:15, she wrote to her kids, I'm going to Tehran. Again, I have to. June 3, 2015, Tehran, 1:30 p.m. Christine met a Swiss mediator at a hotel. Her second trip, and Moy official Reza Amiri joined them. Your husband's case is under review, he said, sipping tea. Christine slid Bob's 2011 photo across. He's sick. Release him. Amiri's face was blank. We have no record of this man. At 3:47, she visited the Revolutionary Court, where a clerk filed her plea. We'll investigate, he said, not meeting her eyes. Back in Coral Springs, June 15th, she told reporters, Iran's hiding Bob. I won't stop. At 9:03, Miller emailed, Moy is stonewalling. We're trying back channels. March 9, 2017, Washington, D.C., 10:47 a.m., FBI headquarters. Director James Comey briefed President Trump. Levinson's been gone 10 years, he said. Iran's Moy likely killed him. Trump nodded, distracted. Big reward, right? Comey confirmed. $5 million from FBI, $20 million from states' rewards for justice. At 12:19, Comey called Christine. We're not giving up, but hope's fading. Christine's voice was firm. He's alive until I see a body. At 2:30, she launched helpboblevinson.org, posting the 2010 video clip. By 5:47, it had 500,000 views. Samantha tweeted, Dad, we're fighting for you. November 4, 2019, Tehran, 9:15 a.m., Revolutionary Court press room. Iran's spokesman, Ali Reza, shocked reporters. We have an open case on an American, Robert Levinson. At 11:47, he backtracked, only an investigation. In Coral Springs, Christine saw it on BBC, calling Miller. What does this mean? She asked. Miller sighed. They're playing games, maybe to derail Trump's sanctions. At 1:30, the FBI reanalyzed the 2011 photos, confirming diabetes likely worsened. Analyst Patel noted, he'd need insulin daily. Survival past 2015 is unlikely. Miller didn't tell Christine. March 25, 2020, Coral Springs, 1:03 p.m. Christine's phone rang. FBI Director Christopher Wray. Mrs. Levinson. We've concluded Bob likely passed away in custody, he said, voice heavy, based on his health, 72, and no signs since 2011. Christine froze, Dan holding her hand. No body, she asked. Ray shook his head over FaceTime. I'm sorry. At 3, the family released a statement. We accept he's gone, but we need answers. At 5:47, NBC aired it, showing Bob's 2010 video. Christine watched, sobbing. Samantha, now 28, tweeted, Dad, rest in peace. December 10, 2020, Washington, D.C., 9:29 a.m., the Treasury sanctioned MOA officers Mohammad Basari and Ahmad Kazai for Levinson's abduction. At 11:15, Christine held a Zoom press conference. These men killed my husband, she said, holding Bob's photo. Sanctions aren't enough. At 1:47, the FBI upped the reward to $25 million. Miller emailed her, we're chasing leads in Turkey. By 3:09, helpboblevinson.org crashed from traffic. Dan tweeted, Justice for Dad. October 5, 2020, U.S. District Court, 10:02 a.m. Judge Timothy J. Kelly awarded Christine $1.4 billion in damages against Iran, citing intentional infliction of emotional distress. Christine, via Zoom, said, This is for Bob's suffering. At 12:19, Iran called it baseless. At 2:47, Christine told CNN, money won't bring him back, but it's accountability. March 4, 2025, Washington, D.C., 11:03 a.m. The Treasury sanctioned 3 more Moireza Miri Mogadam, Gholam Hossein, Mohammed Hossein, Taki Danashvar for Levinson's death. At 1:15, Christine spoke on ABC News. Bob fought for us. I'm fighting for him, she said, her voice steady. At 3:30, the FBI reissued the $25 million reward. Dan emailed supporters. No closure yet, but we keep going. At 6:47, Christine sat in her den, Bob's FBI badge in hand. I miss you, she whispered. Samantha, watching, hugged her. March 25, 2025, Coral Springs, 7:18 p.m. 18 years since Bob vanished. Christine hosted a vigil, 40 neighbors on Zoom. Bob's story isn't over, she said, holding his 2011 photo. Dan added, he's our hero. At 8:47, A new tip came via help boblevinson.org, a 2023 Moi defector claiming Levinson died in a calm prison 2018. Miller called at 9:38. We're verifying it, Christine, she nodded, tears falling. Keep moving, John, for Bob. Well, have you ever heard of a case like this? Comment your thoughts. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, and catch you in the next one.